For today's pattern, we're going to be using a bulky weight yarn. I'm using Happy Place Apricity in the colors Hickory and Spice. I will also be using a 10mm Tunisian crochet hook with a cable and a stopper as well. You may also need additional notions like stitch markers, tapestry needles, and scissors. This pattern is work top down, but we begin by making the ribbing side to side, and then from there we go ahead and we pick up loops and we begin working the pattern all the way down, where we make color changes, and then we add the ribbing again here at the bottom. We also will be seaming this cowl up. I used a mattress stitch. So what I'm going to do for this demo is I'm going to make a mini version of this so that you can see how to make the full cowl pattern. So I'm beginning in color 1. I'm going to go ahead and make a slip knot. Then I'm going to take my hook, and you don't need to have the cable on for this part. In fact, it can actually make it a little bit loud because we're only going to be doing a chain of 7 for the ribbing. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then turning our work over, so we're working in the back bumps in the second loop from the hook. I'm going to go ahead and pick up a loop in these back bumps back here. When you can see, this is a back bump and that's a back bump, so I'm going to go right into that back bump, pick up a loop just like that. Now sometimes working with bulky yarn, especially on the first row, you've got to get a little help, and that's totally okay. We're here on our last stitch. I'm going to yarn over, pull up a loop. You'll see I have 7 loops on my hook. I'm going to do a standard return pass, yarn over, pull through 1, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, all the way across. Now, we'll always be doing a standard return pass. So now for this next row, we're going to be doing our purl stitch row. So I'm going to bring the yarn to the front of the hook, go ahead like I would go in for a simple, let the yarn fall behind the hook, then yarn over and pull up a loop, just like that. Let's do one more. I'm going to bring the yarn to the front, go through, allow the yarn to go back, yarn over, pull up a loop. And this is going to give us that ribbing that we were looking at. And for the ribbing, we're always just going to be alternating a row of purl stitches and a row of simple stitches. So last purl here, and then we're going to do our last Tunisian stitch. So we're going to go through both rows just like this, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then I'm going to do a standard return pass, yarn over, pull through 1, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2 all the way across. So now we're just going to keep doing this repeat, where we're going to be doing an alternating row of simple stitch and purl stitch. So next one, just going to go straight into my simple, yarn over, pull up a loop, just like that, all the way across till I get to my last stitch, then I'll do my last Tunisian stitch. Now I'm going to be working on this, and we're not going to be doing a full cowl. This is just going to be a demo on how to make the cowl. So I'm going to go ahead and do my last stitch. I'm going to do a few more rows. Next row after I do my return pass is going to be my purl stitch row. Then I'll come back and show you the next steps. So when you get to the end of your ribbing row, we're going to go ahead and do a Tunisian slip stitch bind off. So we're going to go in like we would for a simple stitch, and then you're going to pull through the second loop on the hook, just like that. So go ahead, pick up like you would for a simple, and you can just pull through both loops on the hook, just like that. So go in again like a simple, pull up a loop, and then pull that loop through the other loop on your hook. We're going to do this until we get to our last Tunisian stitch. And then we'll do our last Tunisian stitch and pull through. Now, what you're going to notice, and let me just put my hook aside for a second so we can, is that the edges here don't look very similar. Because this is our last Tunisian stitch and this is our first Tunisian, we have a little bit of difference in the pattern. So if you wanted to, you could leave your hook in here and you start working along this edge if you wanted to, but I like the way this looks and I wanted this part to be closer to my face as opposed to this part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take my scissors and we'll just cut that, pull that to the side, and I'm going to work in this corner here. I'm going to start here for picking up my stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my hook again, and I'm going to go ahead and in this first stitch I'm just going to pick up a loop. Now, working in this, I'm going to look at these back loops here. Because I want there to be a nice edging, I'm going to pick up a stitch in the back loop and then just hold on to it. I'm going to keep going all the way across. I want to keep these nice and tight. Just the back loop here. Just like that. All the way across. And for the ribbing, for this little demo, I did 12 rows, but you're going to see we're going to end up with an odd number of stitches, and I'll show you why that is. So I'm going to pick up all 12, just like that. And here's my last one, right there. But I want there to be one more stitch, and so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pick up on the edge from my last Tunisian, just like that. So I can show you that again. Let me actually. So for my last stitch, I'm going to go ahead and pick up right here at the edge, right there, and that's going to be my 13th stitch for this demo, but it's going to add one more stitch in and it's going to create a nice edging. So go ahead and pick up a loop through there, just like that. So you're going to add one stitch here. Now we're just going to do a regular return pass and keep going all the way through. Like I said, in this pattern, we're always going to be doing a standard return pass. So it's always going to be a pull through one and then a pull through two till you get to the end. Grab a little bit more yarn. Okay, so now we're going to start to make our cowl. We're going to make our cowl bigger, and we're going to do that by doing increases on the second stitch and the second to last stitch here. And we're also going to start doing the major stitch for this pattern, which is the knit stitch. So the knit stitch, you're going to go between the front and back loops here, and we're going to do an increase by going into the top bar here, pulling up a loop, and then in the next stitch here, we're going to go into, it's like a knit stitch, just like that. So I'm going to keep working across. Go all the way till you get to that second to last stitch. So I'm going to go into that last Tunisian stitch. And then here we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do a top bar increase. So let me show you exactly what I'm talking about when I mean the top bar. And that's going to be this right here. So you can see it from the front. I'm just going to go into that top bar. And every row, we're going to add 2 stitches. So right there, and then now we're here at the end of the row, we're going to go ahead and do our last Tunisian stitch. So go through both loops at the end, and then I'm going to pull yarn over and I'm going to do my return pass. And we'll do this really quickly, and I'll show you another row increase. Okay, so here, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So you're going to see here, this is my top bar right here, and that's where we're going to do our first increase. So I'm going to go right in through here, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then I'm going to go straight into my knit stitch. And this first knit stitch is also going to be a little bit wider. So we're going to go into that knit stitch, just like that, and then continue doing our knit stitch all the way across. And then again, when we get to here, so here's our second to last stitch. This is going to be our top bar stitch, and then we'll do our last Tunisian stitch here. So knit stitch, top bar stitch, increase, last Tunisian stitch. So I'm going to do a couple more rows like this, then I'm going to meet you back and show you how we do the color changes. So now we're going to show how to do the color changes. Now on the return pass, when I have 2 loops left on my hook, I'm going to take color 2 and go ahead and just attach it on like that and pull through. Now this next row will be done completely in color 2, but we're not changing the pattern itself. So I'm going to do my Tunisian top bar increase, just like that. And then I'm going to do my first Tunisian knit stitch, just like that. And then I'm going to continue my knit stitches across. So as I'm doing this, I'm going to just keep that other yarn strand here because I will be using that to do a color switch. So I'm going to work across, do my return pass, and how we're just going to, the color changes are always going to be on the right side, and we're just going to drop the yarn and color 2 and pick up color 1 without fastening off. So I'll meet you back to show you that next step. So you can see how our color changes are happening here. And so now I'm going to show you what to do to finish off your cowl. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do a Tunisian knit stitch bind off, and this is going to help, and it's going to help kind of give that shawl that finishing touch. So similar to how we did the slip stitch bind off earlier, we're going to do a knit stitch bind off. So we're going to go in like for a knit stitch, pull up a loop, pull through, and then go through, pull through the loop on the hook, go through just like that. And we're going to do this all the way across. Once we get there, we're going to go ahead and fasten off again. The reason that we're doing the fasten off there is because we're going to come back here to this end and start working into this row to do the bottom ribbing. So I'm going to work across, then I will come back and show you the next steps. So I fastened off, and now I'm going to go ahead and work into the edge here. So we're going to be working along this way, adding in the border. So we're going to find our first stitch here, and we're going to work into that row. We're just going to pick up loops on both sides so you can see how. Let me actually show you with the needle, with the tapestry needle. We're going to work our slip stitch into the side here, and I'll show you, because when you do a bind off, you actually decrease your stitches, your row, by 1 stitch. So we're going to add 1 back in, and then I'm just going to go ahead and chain 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we're going to do something similar to exactly what we did before. We're going to go ahead and pick up a loop all the way across, just like that. And then what we want to do is, so for the first row and the last row of the pattern, we're actually going to, I've got 6, so I've got to do 1 more. We're actually going to increase our ribbing to make sure that it flows in the same, with the same angle that you have here. So how we're going to do that is I'm actually going to go ahead and attach into this first stitch. We're going to go ahead and yarn over, pull up a loop, and that's going to act as my as almost like an 8th stitch. And now I'm just going to go ahead and pull through 2. So pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and go all the way back. Now this is our simple stitch row. The next row is our purl stitch row. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and do my purl stitches all the way across. So 1, 2, 3, well this is actually 4 because we have this stitch here, 5, 6, we're going to do 7. Then in the same stitch, because this is where we're doing the add-on, we're going to go ahead and yarn over, pull up a loop, and then pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, all the way down to the end. And now we're going to do a simple stitch, and for the simple stitch we'll now work into our next stitch, which is our second stitch here. So let me show you how to do that. So we're doing our simple stitch row, got my 7 simple stitches. Now we're going to anchor it in, and so you'll see here we have this braided border that was created by the bind off. We're going to actually work in between those 2 right there. So I'm going to yarn over, pull up a loop, and then pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, all the way down to the end. And what that's going to do is it's going to create a nice little border that's going to match the border, that little border that we have here by making the back loop only. So you're going to be going through, just to show you where the little chain is, that little chain or braid that you made from doing your knit stitch bind off, you're going to go in between there. So you're going to go in between just like that in order to pick up your pick up a loop when you're anchoring your ribbing in. So I'll do one more and I'll show you how that is, and then that's basically the whole pattern. So I'm going to do my purl stitch all the way across, just like that. And remember, you're always going to have 7 stitches, so count, and then if you have 6, remember that there's that 7th that's still there. So purl stitch, then we're going to go ahead and anchor it in there, pull up a loop, and then we're going to pull through 2. So there is actually a little bit of a variation for this last return pass, but that's it. And you see how by adding that extra row in, we've kind of kept that angle, so that's what's going to give it that really nice point on the final shawl. On the shawl right there, you'll see here is the final point, and then you can see here by adding in 2 rows on either side, we've made it so that we have a nice triangle, and that's what allows you to wear this cowl on both ways, both on the front and on the back. So you can wear it with the V forward, or as you can see from the pictures in the beginning, you can wear it also just like a regular cowl. One last thing, let me take this back and show you. I ended up doing a mattress stitch all along here. What I did is I left a really long tail when I finished with the seaming here, and then I went ahead and blocked my work. Then after blocking, I did a mattress stitch all the way up, and I also closed in this top part here, and then that's it. That was the whole pattern. I hope you really enjoyed this video tutorial. If you did, please like it and give it a thumbs up. It does help me grow the channel, and please subscribe for more videos. Thanks, and happy crocheting.